Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. We are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac, and this is season, I believe it's 10. And the episode, hold on. You already know I got you. Hold on. I don't know why I don't do this ahead of time, but y'all already know how I do. Sometimes I just don't be remembering to do stuff ahead of time. Yeah, I'm about to get it right now. But before we get into this, how was everyone's weekend? Hopefully you had a great weekend. I'm here in the Shy, just to let you know how crazy the weather is. It snowed last Monday. Sunday, Friday and Saturday, it was in the 70s. Actually, late upper 60s on Friday. Saturday, it got up to 70s. To the point where I basically had my sports bra and my joggers on, walking around because I walked to the gym, was nice out. And then fast forward Sunday and today is back down to the 40s. So welcome to the Midwest. It's one of those things. Sorry, I am stalling a little bit, but yeah, this was a good episode though. So let's talk about what happened in the episode. It was a decent episode. They are back from their vacation, and yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. But at the same time, I'll be honest with you. I forgot who it was, but I heard one of the people who I listen to, because a lot of times I try to do these reviews first and then I listen to other people's opinions on what they thought of the show, like other people who reviewed the show. And I don't know who said it because I want to give them the credit, but I am noticing someone brought something up. And watching both the show and after show, because we actually did get first episode of the after show this time around. I think they have a point on what's going on when it comes to some of these women. And it's honestly, this episode, I'm really starting to see that Karen, and I feel like people don't realize how important Karen is to the show. And I'm starting to see how important she really is to the show. Just put it that way. So this episode is episode 7. It's called Guess Who's Back. Kind of foreshadowing, we know someone's back, right? So we start off the episode. So without further ado, let's get into the episode, and then I'll bring up what my thoughts are on Karen being missed and why I'm saying it now. So, and someone said it in the after show without saying it. We'll go with that, because I'm going to try to put both of these into this show. So we start off with this montage where we see Kay at her spa getting the salmon sperm treatment. And this is the third time I've heard this get brought up. I'm wondering, does it really give what needs to be gave? Because I am overdue to get me a spa treatment, but I probably won't do anything until December, because I need things to make sense for a little bit. I've been joking with a lot of my friends that I'm my broke girl era, just because this major purchase of this place, I'm trying to reaccumulate my savings that I pretty much use for this, along with some of the other things I've been using around the house. So anyway, and then we also do get a brief scene with along with the montage, we get Angel. She's talking to her husband Bobby. Fine dude. And they're talking about their home in Colorado. And then our first official scene was Tia. And with Tia, she actually FaceTimes her mom, and we find out that her African royalty in Nigeria comes from her mom's side, and she was featured in the magazine and everything. She's a big deal. And she kind of shares the story of when she was featured in the magazine. They caught her when they were trying to photograph Tia when she was a teenager, her smoking a cigarette, and that's how her mom found out that she smoked. And she was it was right after her and her mom and her dad got divorced. So I didn't know that, but we find that new little tidbit out. And then Sienna the whole entire time, which is, I believe she's the oldest. She's either the oldest or second to oldest daughter. But she is just like, I want a gift because her mom, like Tia's mom was like, yeah, I'll send something out for you. And she's like, I want a gift. I want a gift. She's like, you know what? She talks so much crap about you. She says all this bad stuff about you. And Sienna is a little bit of a spitfire. Tia, girl, let me ask you a question. Were you like her? Were you like her when you were a teenager? Because if you were, this explains a lot. You're getting it back, I believe, from her because she is a little spitfire. Still pretty respectable. Also, I don't know how she is respectful when it comes to the Nigerian community, but she is very Americanized. This won't be the last time we hear from Sienna, but I do enjoy seeing her because she's kind of giving that energy, that grace, Angel, and Adore. Giselle's daughters used to give Giselle. We're getting that all from this one. All from this one mainly. Anyway, moving on. Okay, and then next we see the presentation of the house. The house looked familiar. And we see the woman walking to the door and to greet Ashley. It's Monique! Monique is back. And basically, we find out that Monique and Ashley really have never lost touch. Like, Ashley and Monique are friends in real life. So they've never really lost touch. They have always kind of kept things, like, they've stayed friendly, basically. And we find out all the things that's been happening with Monique since she's left the show. In the controversial way that she left the show. Now, I don't want to tie in another network stuff with this, but I kind of have idea what's going on with Monique because Monique actually, she left this show. For those who don't watch any other networks and stuff, she actually briefly helped. She was actually the main draw. There we go. Draw to Love and Marriage DC when they did a spinoff on the own network of Love and Marriage. Love and Marriage Huntsville was like the main show, and their first spinoff was like Love and Marriage DC. And her and Chris Samuels were like the main couple that introduced all the other girlies onto the show. And they were on there for like one season, and then the second season she briefly made appearances here and there. And then we found out from that show, even though you guys who have never seen the show and you're finding out on this show, that her and Chris were getting a divorce. We found out then that that's what was happening. And we kind of, the thing is, that show actually exposed more of their cracks, if anything. So if you guys have never watched it, this is not a plug, but I feel like that will help. If they don't explain it more on this show, this might tie up some of the loose ends I might be missing. But I kind of kept up and knew what was going on there. So not like basically her catching us up isn't really her catching us up for me, because like I already knew a lot of what was going on because of that show. Anyway, so she also talks to Ashley about, her kids and how much older they are, because, it's been a long time since last time she was on the show. So it's been some years now. And, Monique has the dreads now. She's given very much Wakanda realness in her confessional, which I love that. Now her confessional, she's the only one that doesn't have a background. I don't understand what that is, but doesn't matter. But Monique looks amazing. You could tell that she went all in on the holistic. We also found out that T'Challa, her bird, died. I think in 2019. They show when he died. And she has another dog. She has another bird now. We also do meet like her dog that she has too. And we kind of catch up on a lot of the lost things. We talk about the fight. She says she's a different person now. Her explanation around it was she had a lot of trauma that she didn't realize she hadn't dealt with yet. My only thing about that is I'm hoping sometime this season she produces the olive branch to apologize to Candace. Because even though Candace's mouth is lethal, you're the one who put hands on her. So I'm going to leave room for her to apologize, but I'm just kind of like, okay, girl. Trauma doesn't mean you need to put your hands on someone. I get it. I know some people react differently to trauma, but I'm still very much a wait and see. Because like when it comes to Monique, I'll be fully honest with you with that. Also, we kind of talk about like how are her and Giselle. She's like, well, I do want to maybe try to see where things are with us. She like clearly she's in a different place. She's not where she was then, so she's open to talking to Giselle basically. Wendy, we find out she hasn't talked to Wendy since the reunion that year. And so that's kind of interesting. We don't know where things are with that, but I'm going to give Wendy grace. Wendy was new to the cast at that time. So Wendy didn't even know where she belonged when it came to this group, let alone trying to nurture any friends that were in the outs with the group. That would, like, so from basically the standpoint of the show, if you were really thinking more about the show versus a friendship, it wouldn't really make the most sense for her to really try to nurture a friendship there when she knows that person's leaving the show. So I get why there wasn't really anything there, you know. Yeah. And then who else? And then when they talk about Stacey briefly, and Ashley's put in her 2 cents already. She knows what she's doing. Like Ashley in the confessionals try to make it sound like she's not going to be messy and like state everything when it comes to like the Chris Samuels and Stacey of it all. But she already did put something in Monique's head that Stacey has a very interesting relationship with the truth. And to me, I think that's messed up. And it's like, girl, let the mouse go, Ashley. It's really, really getting annoying at this point. And yeah, I can't when it comes to Ashley with that. Because it's like, girl, let it go. Because when it comes to all the other women, she didn't even really mention them. Which is, I find very interesting. Kay's been in the group much longer and you didn't mention anything about Kay. You didn't mention anything about the 2 other new girls, Tia or Angel. But those 2 are really I get because you don't really know them. But Kay, you could have mentioned something about Kay, but Kay was like, you didn't even mention her. But you made it your mission to mention Stacey. It's given you're feeling threatened. And then we also find out that this is the episode where Ashley is hosting the World Pride event because she got invited and it's going to be a whole entire thing. And her and Giselle, they have a float, the G&A float that they're putting together. And also another funny thing is she mentioned how her and Giselle are like in business together, and they went from basically having a clothing line to it being a philanthropist type of business. And Monique couldn't even fix her face. She's like, girl, you and Giselle in fashion? She did clean it up to say Giselle, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Also, I forgot to mention, this is where it was also asked, like, can her and Giselle coexist? Monique's like, I have no problem with her, so, it's all good. Anyway, we go on to the next scene, and we see that Wendy and Eddie are in the middle of renovating their home. With what money? No shade. You know how last episode I mentioned how I didn't even really think of Wendy and her situation like that last episode? This episode, it was thrust upon me where I can't help but to think about it, because you're renovating your home the home in question, with what money in question. I can't pretend it's not there. The fruit is low hanging. I had to grab it. It's right there. And I'm just kind of just looking at this thing. I'm just like, I can't even look at this thing the same anymore. Now it's entertaining for all the wrong reasons. I'm not even gonna hold you. Because normally, let's be honest, Wendy solo sings with her and her husband, normally brings nothing and normally gives nothing. Wendy is definitely someone who thrives more when she's in the group and with the ensemble cast of it all. Her by herself is not as interesting. I'll be fully honest, even though I love looking at Wendy and I love her on this show, but I think she's one of those people that's better in the group. That's just what I have to say. So they're talking about this renovation. And as they're talking about this renovation, they're chalking up all the rooms that they're doing. And it's going to be about $100,000. I'm just, again, with what money? The situation set them back badly. I know, it's still innocent until proven guilty, but no matter what, I don't know what you do after that. I wouldn't even stay in that same house after. If everything was proven innocent, I would move out of that neighborhood. I wouldn't even stay in the same house anymore. I don't even know. But anyway, we find out later on though that we find out that she hasn't talked to her actual dad in 20 plus years. And her dad didn't even wish her a happy birthday. She has like a group chat with all of her relatives from at home because he's still in, Nigeria. And he wished the uncle a happy birthday, which was like 3 days later or 4 days later, but not her. And so it sounds like this is what we're getting as her storyline is her relationship with her dad. And then they're in the garage and they're basically trying to get the things for Happy Eddie's pop-up. And we find out that Eddie has all these different products. Like not only does he have he has merch, he has, tons of merch besides having like the marijuana stuff. And I wasn't sure if like the, chapstick was THC or, CBD induced or not. I hope it's CBD induced because I feel like that would help with the lips so much. Because Sidetrack is a gay bar in the city here. I guess it's fitting, but that's not what I meant to say. But side note, the reason why I'm saying that the CBD would probably be good as like a lip gloss is when I first moved to the city. And really, for a lot of my life, I suffered from eczema really, 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 really badly. And one of my first jobs when I first moved to the city, along with my main job, I actually had a second job where I was a barista. And me constantly having to wash my hands and everything, it just made my eczema act a fool. Okay, like my hands were just broken out. They looked horrible. And as you can see right now, my hands look very normal now. So I don't have these problems. And normally the winter months and like the spring, summer months are usually the worst, and like fall, winter months are usually the worst. And I started using CBD oil to help when I was like, after I would wash my hands, I would put some CBD oil on like the areas because it was getting really gross. It was like disgusting to look at to a certain degree, even though it's just my eczema. And I ain't gonna hold you, my eczema used to be so bad, it kind of borderline looked like psoriasis. And so I almost thought I had psoriasis, but it was just my eczema was just really that bad. But anyway, so I actually started using the CBD, and actually ever since I started using it, I haven't had to use it really ever since. It eventually went away. I really haven't had that many issues with my eczema as far as breakouts in years now. And so I say all that to say, I feel like that would be very helpful for lips. Like I would think it will help keep the moisture in and stop like the irritation that gets caused from eczema. Because a lot of times eczema gets flared up from like having dry skin. And that's what was happening with me because I was constantly washing my hands. My skin was just like scaly and kind of breaking out because I had to constantly wash my hands for obvious reasons, because I was, serving customers and I was just like constantly on the coffee. Like I was a barista. So do you want someone to not wash your hands constantly or not? So I was constantly washing my hands. And you're probably asking, why not wear gloves? Latex flared up my eczema too, so would have not. No matter what, I was like not gonna be okay unless I found a solution to kind of help with it. And I did eventually figure it out because I had to. Because who wants someone to be serving them coffee and then their hands look disgusting, even though it's not anything that's contagious? It's literally just my eczema. So we did eventually figure it out very quickly. So, because at first I had to don't put me on the machines until I figure it out. And then once I got it figured out and started using the CBD, it was like, there was no problem. So anyway, I went on a major sidetrack, but back to it. So then in the dual scene, we actually see that Stacy is meeting up with her business partners and her product of Shiloh. Shiloh is Nigerian for happy. And it's like, girl. And I'm like, okay, Stacey Kenya. What cracks me up is because Stacey actually does real life favor Kenya. It just cracks me, Kenya Moore. And it's just like, this is very much giving Kenya Moore and Phaedra Parks and their workout tapes. I'm just kind of like, oh my God. So anyway, and then even Stacy in her explanation about the name and all that, it's funny. And then we go back to Wendy, and Wendy and Eddie are talking about this. They don't know the name of the product yet, but they know that Stacy has a line that she's coming out with. And Eddie shades her, calls her a copycat. But it's all in joke, all in jest, and all in fun. And Wendy in her confessional, she sums it up perfectly. And I think this is why I like Wendy. And I also like Stacy. I feel like most of us love Stacy. You can tell Wendy is entertained by Stacy just like the rest of us because she's so unserious. So she's not taking it seriously. And honestly, as long as you don't take Stacy seriously, like Ashley is for whatever reason, probably because she knows she is hanging on by a thread at keeping this job because no one finds Ashley interesting or even understand why she's still on this show. But yeah, Wendy's she is so entertaining to me. So it's as long as you don't take her seriously, I don't take her seriously. So it's just kind of exactly. It's clear that Wendy's in on the joke, along with Stacy and the rest of us as audience. And as long as you understand that, it's whatever. And then, so we go back to Stacy, and Ashley calls Stacy. And this is the only thing with me when it comes to Stacy. I'm like, girl, ignore her call. I don't even understand. I think Stacy does it on purpose to pick at this. I feel like this is Stacy's way of picking at Ashley because Ashley is so bothered by her. And I feel like Stacy gets some glee from it. I'm not gonna hold you. If I was Stacy, I would be getting glee from him. I love how I just bother you so much. And you know what? If my movements and my behaviors bothers you this much, I'm going to continue to do this just to continue it. And I enjoy it. I love it. So Stacy out of nowhere divulges that she is in the middle with her product line of the marijuana, and Ashley's just because as we know during the reunion, Giselle called it out that this is what Stacy was doing. And Stacy is dying on this hill of she didn't decide to do it until after the fact. But if you listen to what Stacy said, she said it took 95 days to get it together. 95 days is how many months? 3 months. We know when the reunion was aired. So, and we know they didn't start filming this until around May. And the reunion was aired, I want to say around, hold on, I can actually verify this. Well, no, because they usually do the reunion 2 months before it actually airs. But when did it air? And I'm about to go to it. Hold on, I got you. Because I'm not trying to catch her in a lie. That's not what it is. But I want to fact check this a little bit. Because if it's what I think it is, I'm going to be like, girl. Hold on. We're going to go to my playlist. Because I reviewed this show last season. So I know exactly. I can go to the videos to find out when things happened. Okay, so the reunion aired basically in like late March. But really, they usually film the reunion 2 months before. So, or a month before. So January, February, March. Okay. I think Stacey might be telling the truth. She might be telling the truth. Now, if you go by when the reunion aired, it's going to give and seem like she's lying. Because the reunion aired in February, and we know they start filming usually in May for Potomac. So that would not be the 95 days. But we know they film it before that. Like usually a month or so before. So I don't know though. It's awfully close though. That's the thing. It is a little too close for comfort for me. So I think what really it is, I think this is Stacey's truth, which may not be aligning with everyone else's truth. Because I don't remember if Stacey explained this or not, but to me, I think what it is that Stacey did not want to put it out there that she was doing this until the ink dried. So she probably was in talks before all of this, around the time where Giselle heard it, word of the street heard it. But because the deal wasn't done, as in like it wasn't in writing, she didn't want to confirm nor deny it, which is actually really common and very normal in business. And not even just like in like business as like, self-employed or whatever. And even like, for example, me buying my place. I did not put it out there that it was a done deal really until closing. Even though I knew it was pretty much a done deal, like I knew it in my spirit I had this place. I wanted to make sure that the deal wasn't done until the deal was done, until I signed all the papers, because things can go wrong. So I think that is Stacey's logic versus what it really was. She was in talks. I think she was in talks, but you don't say you're in talks before anything's in writing, because it could actually mess up the deal. You don't want to prematurely put that news out there. And it really wasn't, and to Stacey's point at the after show, it wasn't Giselle's place to put it out there. Because again, if the deal's not done, some companies and businesses have those type of agreements, so you put the news out there, we're done. There's no news now. You just put that out there before the ink drop, there was no ink drop, it wasn't in writing. So anyway, that's what I think really what it was, but I just wanted to put that out there. Next. Okay, so next we see Angel. She meets with her sister. I believe her sister name was Ingrid or something like that. And we find out that her sister is like, I think 7 years older than her. Like, there is a significant age difference. And Angel, you still are not doing what you need to do when it comes to this show. And we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about it. But like, she proceeds to talk to her sister about how Giselle got on her nerves, and then she mentions Wendy for no reason. This beef with you and Wendy's one-sided. It really is giving you have a problem with Wendy, but she doesn't have a problem with you. And even when we saw the footage, when they rolled back the footage, that was Giselle putting all the gas about your face tuning or whatever. Like, Wendy, all she was doing is just chuckling in the background, along with actually all the other women. It wasn't just her, you know? So for you to have this much smoke for Wendy, and she put all her energy at Wendy as if Wendy was the one who said it, and Giselle's the one who said all of it. So I just wrote, Angel's a hater. And also, I don't know what this is, but it's like, Angel, you being a confessional gangsta and talking to everyone else but the people you have a problem with to their face, that is problematic, and it's giving you're not fit to be on the show. And this is where I realized that in the you remember how I mentioned earlier at the beginning that Karen's missed? I feel like this would not happen if Karen was on the show. And I think also my theory is with the Kay situation, I think Kay was expecting Wendy to be like a Karen, as far as like, not the term Karen, but like Karen who's on the show, and basically show her the ropes. And without Karen doing all that for the new girls and newbies, they look crazy. Especially the ones who just are not secure in their position of them being themselves on camera. And I feel like both Angel and Kay are not secure within themselves to be able to do this show on camera and get it. Tia, I will say this, I think because Tia's friends with Giselle, I think Giselle's actually helping Tia out if Tia needs the help. I don't know if she does or not, because to me it's given Tia's kind of a natural. Same thing with even like Stacy, she's kind of a natural. But at the very beginning, Stacy was getting help last season from Karen and it stuck. For whatever reason, with Kay, it's not, the knowledge isn't sticking. She's just kind of just doing her own thing, and she doesn't really understand how this show works. And then instead of Angel getting tutelage or help from like a Karen or a Giselle, she's getting it from Kay, who also doesn't know what she's doing. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. And I think it's actually, it might have been Bros and Shows. It might have been that podcast that kind of called it out. So if it was you guys, shout out to you. But I don't know who it is. I don't remember who it was. One of the reviewers I watched were literally spelling it out, and now I can't unsee it. Now I'm just kind of like, that's what it is. And that's the problem. No one has told these women how to really be on the show properly. And Kay is so focused on actually looking for a friendship, and that's not really what the show's about, for real. It can organically happen, but the show is about the show. If you happen to be friends because of the show, that's great, but the show is really about the show. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So it kind of makes me look at a lot of this very differently. And it just, to me, it's giving Angel just doesn't have any direction. And that's why she is landing flat when it comes to the audience. She has no direction. She has no one to help with that. And now it actually makes sense when Karen was talking about it during the reunion, but we didn't take her seriously because of what she did, because what she did was messed up as far as driving drunk and stuff. But I think really she had a lot of pressure when it came to this show, like actually and for real. And hopefully mid-season trailer we see that Karen does come back. Hopefully we hear more about that. And I actually would be honestly okay with Karen breaking the fourth wall and really breaking that down. I don't normally like that, but I feel like in some cases, especially this season, how I'm seeing it so far and how some of the women on the show are overproducing very badly and are not very good at it, it's obvious. Karen produced, but you never saw it. It wasn't obvious. It came off very natural. And whereas a lot of these other women on the show, it's like not coming off natural at all. It comes off very forced. I.e. Ashley. Everything Ashley does comes off very forced and thrust upon us. And in a kind of almost in a violating way. And I'm double entendring it because of her overly sexualizing things too. Because I like it sometimes. For example, the last episode, I enjoyed it because it made sense. But every single time you're going to do that, girl, okay, we get you like men and women. Or I feel like in her case, I think she says she's like demisexual, but and I don't believe her. I don't know what to believe when it comes to her because I don't think she knows who she is. Because how are you like that and you're doing all this stuff? Anyway, I went on a tangent, didn't mean to do that. Moving on. Okay, so let me just sum this up because I don't want this review to be too long. So Giselle is on her way to the courthouse. I skipped a moment. Let's go back. Tia is talking to the rest of her family. And before she's talking to the rest of her family, we see that Nathaniel, her son, is trying to play a game instead of doing his homework, and then he throws a little bit of a fit. All of her kids have a personality, okay? And I love seeing it because she's kind of the only one that has young kids that are like on the show like that, showing their personality. I feel like all the other kids are not really showing their personality, and I miss that about Housewives. It's giving very classic Housewives, so I enjoy it. Anyway, so Tia sits down with the whole entire family, including her husband, and we find out that while she was gone, her daughter, Lexi, we'll say Lexi because I think her name's Lexi. She had a birthday party when she was only supposed to have 15, 20 people. But what happened was apparently they messed up with the invitations and one of the people they had to like uninvite, which was a no-no, or they had to cut off when it came to the invitations or whatever. And that person got mad and basically doxed her house. And invited and put the address on social media so everyone, including people they didn't even know, show up at their house. And it was really, really bad, and the cops were called. And the thing that stood out to me was that Cena was the one who basically took charge, called the cops, got them out of there, and the dad was just kind of there. I'm just kind of like, oh. So remember at the very beginning of the season, we found out, we're talking about the parental difference between Tia and her husband. No disrespect, is giving her husband a little bit of a pushover when it comes to those kids. And Tia is the bad cop at all times. And now Cena does it too, which is fine. But it shouldn't have taken her to get all these people out of the house. And Tia jokes in her confessional. She's like, she's normally my tough one, but she did a very caring thing by calling the cops. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but that case, that's not Karen at all. You gotta get up out of my house. Who are y'all? That's not Karen to me. That's not Karen behavior. Tia, I don't think you know what being a Karen means. That was not being a Karen. That is her being a law-abiding citizen and getting the people who are trespassing off of her property. That's what that is. Anyway, this was a fun scene, and I know it had nothing to do with the rest of the housewives, but Tia and her family I find them highly entertaining. Anyway, moving on. Child, just in case y'all didn't know what's happening with the Hapses, Whisper cannot help herself. She has to be here. She has to be next to me. Anyway, she said hi, by the way, as she's just licking my hand. There's nothing in it, but she's acting like there's a treat. This is all I'm doing. And she's just like, she thinks there's a treat there. She's so cute. Anyway, sorry. So Giselle is actually on her way to that courthouse. And what we find out is that she still is fighting with her stepmom, or the mom. I don't think she wants to call her stepmom because they're not in a good place at all, and they never have been. The wife that her dad remarried. We'll say that because I understand those type of dynamics. They're fighting about that will still. And you can tell as Giselle's talking about this, it's taking a toll. And I'm actually glad we're getting an update on this, because I was wondering whatever happened with that, but we find out it's still not settled. And she's on her way to court and she's talking to Grace about it. And so that's kind of what happens. But then fast forward, we're just going to combine the scene. Angel comes and picks her up. So I think what ended up happening is I think she drove to wherever Angel was at, and then Angel drove her to the courthouse, and then Angel's driving back, because it's a lot. It's clearly taking a toll on Giselle on what's going on, because this lady does not like her or the family. And what Giselle is still fighting and saying is that money was supposed to either go to, like, basically the will was supposed to be either divvied up to her or her children. Really, I think Giselle was really thinking was going to go to her children, and because she saw the will before. And so her story hasn't changed when it comes to this will situation. And she even states that the will wouldn't have changed because there was no way for him to change it, because he didn't have his motor skills at this point in time. So it would make no sense. And so they're still fighting it. And we find out afterwards that because they didn't throw it out all the way, that seems like that might be a good sign that the court is going to review it still. So it's not just a direct no, the will stands. But I am curious what happens, and those who are attorneys or something like that, let me know in the comments. What happens when someone forges a will? Does that person get in some legal trouble? Because I would think that's illegal, right? And if so, what happens with that? Anyway, that's the update that we have with that. Moving on. So then next we see Kay and Greg, and Kay is at Greg's new house. It turns out he did get the house. And then, so what we find out, they're in couples therapy. And we also find out that they're going to keep the two separate houses, and they're taking things slow, and they're not going to put a timeline on anything. So basically, Greg's getting everything he wants out of this relationship. And basically, eventually the house, they're going to keep both. So the house is for everybody, including the family, because, I guess he has kids and stuff. And then, like, the condo is for their adult time. That's how they're trying to spin it. But when I tell you this is another example of overproducing, I don't believe anything that's being said to me in these scenes, because it's such a 180, and him going to therapy, to me, is not enough for his behavior to change that drastically. It's giving everything with Kay and her scenes with people outside the group, and even with her in general, everything with her is rehearsed. It's extremely rehearsed. So I don't believe anything that's happening here. And yes, we do see a scene of them going to couples therapy and stuff like that, but that's like a cut scene, to the point where I'm just kind of like, okay, if it was that dire, why? And all of a sudden he's cool with being filmed, and he's saying all the right things now. I don't get it. I need more, and honestly, I don't at the same time, because I don't care enough, because I just don't believe anything that's being said to me when it comes to Kay, because everything feels very forced and very pre-produced in the wrong way. Again, this would be another situation where I feel like a Karen would be very helpful, because I think Karen could probably help her feed this to us, the audience, where it's digestible and believable. I'm just going to call it out. Anyway, next. This next scene, I'm going to hold you, it cracked me up. Wendy and Stacy, show up at lunch together. They're wearing the same colors. They're giving what needs to be gave. And Wendy, this is when we found out that Wendy doesn't really take Stacey seriously like that for real. And she actually enjoys Stacey a lot, even though she kind of does call out Stacey for being single white female, because Wendy is definitely making a thing where she's like, it's like the second time someone's copied me. Actually, it's more than that many times. You've been copied a lot on this show in recent years, Wendy. I ain't gonna hold you. Hopefully they don't follow your footsteps of what's happening though now with you. No shade. No shade. And hopefully you get out of it, because so for those who besides watching the show, BravoCon happened this weekend, and Wendy did actually produce a statement on everything that's going on. She basically said the generic thing of, thank you for your prayers and thoughts. I can't really speak on this much, but I'm fighting it type thing. Not that surprising. And then Ashley tries to give an apology, and Wendy paid that apology just as she should. And we also find out at BravoCon that Stacey and Monique were the two that supported her the most with this news, along with Giselle. So that's interesting to me that Ashley had to go do what she does, which is be a demon, I guess. But it's not really that surprising. I'm sorry. I really hope this is like Ashley's last season. And I know y'all are sick of me saying that. I think I've said this for 3 seasons now. But I don't understand why she's still on her screen. I don't get why she's still there. Because quiet as kept, it's giving, without Candace, you have nothing. And I think you're trying to force Stacey to be your new Candace. But Stacey will never give you that energy because she knows that's what you're looking for. And you're never going to get that from her. Because that is a very Aries thing for us. We know how some people be trying to get certain energy from us and will never give it to you. Ever. And I love it. I love it. Y'all already know I had to bring up Aries. I had to. The red hair tells you everything you need to know when it comes to me. I'm Aries. It just is what it is. But anyway. But basically this whole entire time, Wendy's kind of quizzing her when it comes to this whole entire thing, when it comes to this marijuana line. And then Stacey gives a reason why the name of the line is the name of the line. And Wendy does this fourth wall thing where she just looks directly at the camera. She's like, I died. And I'm just like, okay. Them two are great. They're great. And they end up ordering the same thing for food. And Stacey's like, let's share. She's like, no. And like, I love it. Like, it, yeah. I'm for it. Moving on. So Giselle's seeing of her getting out of the courtroom actually happens here, but we already talked about that. So then next, we then see that some of the girlies actually went to Jazzy's wedding. And we only saw a glimpse of the wedding. I thought we were going to see more of it. But it actually makes sense why we only saw a glimpse of the wedding, because only 3 of the women showed up for the wedding. Ashley, Wendy, and Stacey. Of course, Ashley could not help herself to shade Stacey and said, oh, she must only be going to the wedding once she found out like Wendy and I are going. And it's like, Stacey already said she was going to try to go to the wedding. Like, but, 2 things could be true. Maybe Stacey only wanted to go to the wedding once she found out that the wedding was going to be filmed. But at the same time, if only Ashley and Wendy would have went to the wedding, would the wedding have been filmed? You gotta look at it both ways. So I don't know. I feel like all 3 of them showing up helped Jazzy out with us actually seeing the wedding. Because I feel like Ashley and Wendy wouldn't have been enough for us to see the wedding. I think Stacey being there helped it. Like, honestly. Because we didn't really get much of Jazzy. We saw her a little bit before the wedding. We saw the vows. And then that was that on that. And then we actually, during the outro show, we talk about, because some of the women were talking about like it's raining, because it was raining during her, like before the wedding, which, that's supposed to be a good thing. But then the after show, both Ashley and Monique said it rained during their wedding. That doesn't mean anything. It just, Housewives, a lot of marriages don't last on Housewives. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so then the final scene, it is World Pride Day, and they're in DC, and they are basically there, waiting for everyone to arrive, and Ashley arrives as her drag king persona. You know what it is when it comes to Ashley? She just comes off very corny. Everything with her comes off very forced. Even her drag king persona is very forced. And I feel like there's a way where she could do this drag king thing and it wouldn't look so forced. Of course, the women are giving her 10s on it, but I'm just like, I'm not impressed. I just feel like I've seen drag kings do a better job than her. And now, of course, she uses this as an excuse to be overly sexualized. And what was kind of cringy, and even Giselle kind of gave a cringe look, is Grace, Giselle's daughter, is here at this event supporting, because, she's of age. And she gave everyone these drag king names, but they weren't really drag kingy. They're more like raunchy names. Because Ashley has no tact. Like, none. And any excuse for her to have no tact, she's going to take full advantage of it. And she named Giselle Jizzy, like jizz, as in like jizz in your pants type of thing. And the women, as she continues to name the people, like Giselle and some of the women just keeps putting earmuffs on Grace, and she's like a child, even though she's an adult. But like, it was just kind of like, because it was giving cringe, because all the girls were like, dude, Giselle's daughter's here. What are we doing? And even Wendy was like, Ashley just can't help herself. But I ain't gonna hold you, I do like my name. So, but then they're talking, getting familiar, and then we see Monique basically, I forgot what you call this, like walking. I forgot what you call it. I want to say it, but like gang walking. There we go. I'll say gang walking. Yeah. Because there's a different name for what she was doing. But she was basically doing that into the party or whatever. And it wasn't as awkward as we thought it was going to be. Giselle immediately takes the initiative and says hi to Monique, and they hug each other. Very brief pleasantries. Nothing serious. Wendy and Monique also say hi to each other, pleasantries. And then Ashley introduced Monique to the rest of the ladies, and it's all good. And then out of nowhere, Kay, and again, this is where Karen is missing. She forces it and tries to pretend that she's like, oh, don't you know Stacy? I thought you guys know each other. Knowing damn well Stacy and Monique don't know each other. And really, she uses this as an excuse to mention the Chris Samuels of it all. And then that's where it ends. I'm sorry, but my views when it comes to some of these women are still the same. Kay, I think without Karen, she doesn't have direction. And she doesn't know what she's doing. But she thinks she knows what she's doing, which is actually more disturbing. And Angel's lost. Angel's completely lost on what to do. Ashley can go. She's just a waste of space. Stacy, still love her. Tia, between her and her family, love her so far. Giselle, she could only do so much. Like, she's kind of the only OG that knows what she's doing. Because Ashley don't even know what she's doing. Like, you could tell that Giselle is needing Karen. And actually, even in the after show, this is what I was going to call out also. Giselle was actually happy to see Monique because she needs help. And she was talking about the show, not her as a friend, really. She's like, I need help because Monique's another OG that can help move things along. Because without that, Giselle and Ashley are left to do the heavy lifting, but unfortunately neither of them are very good at that. Like Giselle is basically trying to do her role and Karen's role at the same time, and it's not really working. You know what I mean? Because for so long, Giselle has been her, but now she has to pivot and do Karen and her at the same time, and it doesn't work because they're kind of like the opposite, and that's kind of how the show has always been formatted, right? So I kind of think that's what's going on. But overall, it was a really, really good episode, but it is getting really obvious, especially now that the trip is wrapped up, because I feel like a trip will mask a lot of things as far as like what's missing on the show, especially when it's a really good trip and they had a very good cast trip. You don't see it until you get back, and now that they're back, I'm starting to see the cracks a lot more. But anyway, that is the review for today. Let me know what you think about it, and also let me know what you think about me wearing earrings and stuff, because normally you already know I normally don't like get make. I usually am in my gym clothes or whatever, but like today was my day off, so I didn't even like, not day off from like working, but my day off from working out. Also let me know in the comments if you want me to discuss my health journey, because I haven't weighed myself again, but like 2 weeks ago, I already lost 5 pounds since I started my health journey. And not even 2 weeks, about a week ago, I already am down 5 pounds. So I'm gonna weigh myself tomorrow, because woman stuff, and normally woman stuff, I know I swell up, so I'm gonna wait till that wraps up. It's gonna wrap up tomorrow, and so then I can double check again to see how I'm doing. But you could probably even tell my reviews I have way more energy than I've had before. Like, the changes I'm making, I can tell I'm going the right direction and where I need to be. Now, as far as will the scale reflect that, I think I'm trying to be mindful and realize I'm older, so it's going to take more time, it's going to be more difficult. But the way I've been going at the gym lately, I would be very surprised if I don't see much of a difference. But anyway, I'll let you know probably next time we see each other, which we will when it comes to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. But anyway, that does conclude the review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything on my content. It's your girl Sharon, and this is Whisper, and I will see you next time. Bye.